That quick theme can evoke either fear or excitement, depending on whether you like horror films or not. But regardless, I don't think there is a soul on this earth who doesn't really know where that thing comes from or who it belongs to. And that is from everyone's favorite super zombie, Jason Voorhees, the main character and star of the iconic Friday the 13th franchise, who, next to Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger, compose the trinity of American horror royalty. Jason has become such a massive icon that his influence has exceeded that of the world of horror, becoming a pop culture icon that has been featured and referenced all across countless different mediums, from toys and action figures to clothing and other types of items. From PSAs, live-action TV shows and animation, to even the video game market. And, of course, comic books. Which is precisely what brings us here today, since DC once showcased a Robin villain who, curiously enough, looks a little too much like everyone's favorite super zombie. DC's counterpart is named Cassidy, and as you can see, Cassidy shares more than a little with Mr. Voorhees. Debuting in a two-part storyline that takes place between Robin number 1 and number 2, and created by the living legends Chuck Dixon and Tom Grummett, the imposing Cassidy made his first comic book appearance as the muscle for the Grand Theft Auto band the Speed Boys, a criminal gang that specialized in vehicle larceny. The Speed Boys have the honor of being the first villains that Robin faced against in his first solo series. Robin first encounters the Speed Boys when they target the Gotham Heights Country Club, at a time where Bruce Wayne was incapacitated, and Jean-Paul Valley, better known as Azrael, was taking his place as Batman, or as we all called him back then, Azbat. The two-part story is a rather simple yet effective way to jumpstart the series, but really, the most memorable part about these issues is, at least for me, Cassidy. Just like Jason, Cassidy does not speak at all, unless you count grunts as talking. Cassidy's look is rather simple, as he basically wears a blue jumpsuit reminiscent of Michael Myers, but with a mask that greatly resembles the one Jason wears. As far as abilities go, just like Jason, Cassidy's strength is clearly superhuman, as he is capable of throwing Robin around like a ragdoll. Not to mention, he is also strong enough to rip entire motors out from cars, which I'm sorry, but no human being would ever be able to do. Cassidy's complexion and build is also so imposing, and he is such a great threat that Robin was unable to take on Cassidy on a physical level. In fact, the only way Tim was able to take him down was by literally running him over with his enhanced car, the Redbird, knocking him over a pile of tires, rendering him unconscious, something that could potentially end an average person. Now, there is something very, very tricky about Cassidy. You see, whether purposely or not, there are certain moments in which Cassidy seems to be colored as if he was either a zombie or undead, which, to my knowledge, he is not. Or at least there is no mention of that anywhere within the story. So my take on this, allegedly of course, is that it was intentional. Because, you see, on August of 1993, just a month before the first Robin ongoing series was launched, and Cassidy made his debut, the 9th installment of the Friday the 13th franchise, Jason Goes to Hell, was released, but not after a whole slew of promotional material that hyped the film, as this film was marketed as the final installment in the franchise, which of course it was not. But the marketing included a tie-in comic book by the now defunct Topps Comics. So, who's to say that DC didn't try to capitalize on the hype of the film by modeling a one-shot character after another character that was hot at that moment? Cassidy made another appearance in Robin 31, once again by the amazing Chuck Dixon, but this time with beautiful art by the late Mike Ringo. In this story, Robin and Wildcat team up against the Speed Boys, and of course, against Cassidy, who this time around is wearing a much smaller mask that doesn't really cover as much. And can I just say that watching Tim Drake and Ted Grant interact with each other is a treat that, although brief, is something I never knew I would enjoy so much. So thank you once again, Mr. Dixon. But going back to Cassidy, sadly, Cassidy only made 2 other appearances as a background character, in both Batman Blackgate, where Cassidy is taken down by Batman almost immediately, and at the end of Batman vs. Wildcat, where after being forced to fight each other, Batman and Wildcat faced off against multiple dangerous foes, including Cassidy. After this, Cassidy would disappear completely, to never be seen again. Now, funny enough, New Line Cinema, the home of the Friday the 13th franchise, and Warner Brothers, the home of DC, merged just 3 years later. Now, another curious detail is that the following Friday the 13th installment, 2002's Jason X, features a Jason mask that is pretty much identical to the one worn by Cassidy. So, it's like they say, it's all in the family now. Now, tell me, dear viewer, do you like the Friday the 13th franchise? Or are you a fan of Jason? Or did you remember Cassidy? Or better yet, do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Either way, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Be safe and well, and have a great spooky season.
You're with your baby, and you're parked alone on a summer night. You're deep in love, but you're deeper in the woods. You think you're doing alright. Did you hear that voice? Did you see that face? Or was it just a dream? This can't be real, that only happens, babe, on a movie screen. Oh, but he's back. He's the man behind the mask, and he's out of control. He's back. He's the man behind the mask, and he crawled out of his hole. You're swimming with your girl out of Lover's Lake, and the wind blows cold. It chills your bones, but you're still on the make. That's a bad mistake. But the moon was full, and you had a chance to be all alone. But you're not alone, this is your last dance, and your last romance. Yeah, 'cause he's back, he's the man behind the mask, and he's out of control. He's back, the man behind the mask, and he's out of control. He's back, the man behind the mask, and he's after your soul. He's back, he's the man behind the mask, and he's out of control. He's back, the man behind the mask, and he's after your soul. He's back, he's the man behind the mask, and he's out of control. He's back, he's the man behind the mask, and he's out of control. He's back, he's the man behind the mask.